Do you remember that feeling you had when a new Marvel film was on the horizon? Not just any Marvel film, but an MCU film. That feeling that no other superhero film would give you. That excitement and eagerness to see what comes next. This is what the MCU is, or what most feel it used to be. Going back to 2018, I remember the long year wait between Infinity War and Endgame. This wait felt as if it would never be over. The excitement and urge that every Marvel fan had to finally get this film and see how this saga would end. This is only one film, but this is what built the MCU, the excitement for what comes next. I want you to think and go back. What was the first MCU film you watched? Was it back when the MCU started in 2008 when Iron Man originally came out? Maybe you were introduced a little later. One thing that we can all share is the enjoyment and want for more once we had got through that first viewing. This is what the MCU is all about. It is no surprise that we all know the MCU post-Endgame has not been as great as it should be. The launch of Disney Plus back in 2019 was the start of the downtime that the MCU has faced. Yes, we would be getting more content than ever due to Marvel introducing television series through Disney Plus, but this came with oversaturation. There were some gems that did come out of Disney Plus that set up future stories and were pivotal to the broader narrative. One great example is Loki. Loki set up and did a great job setting up Kang as a villain of the Multiverse Saga. Season 1 is one of my all-time favorite pieces of content to come out of the MCU. I remember the long week's wait that was for a new episode. This was what Marvel should be on television, having the audience interested in seeing what comes next. Now, don't get me wrong, there were other shows that did this as well, such as WandaVision, The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Hawkeye, Moon Knight, Ms. Marvel, The Agatha Show, and Daredevil, just to name a few. WandaVision was a mind warp and nobody knew what was going to happen next. Falcon and the Winter Soldier showed us the aftermath of the blip as well as introducing John Walker to the MCU. Hawkeye introduced us to Kate Bishop and also brought back a fan favorite in Kingpin. Moon Knight was one of our first introductions to the supernatural side of Marvel. Ms. Marvel introduced us to one of the first mutants in the MCU. Agatha continued on the story from WandaVision, and Daredevil was a love letter to the Netflix Marvel fans with more of those characters returning on the way. The film side of the MCU post-Endgame has not been the greatest. Black Widow was the first film to come out in the Multiverse Saga. To say the least, it was not good. This was a film that should have come out many years before, but it lost its place. This film is not all bad. It introduced us to major characters such as Yelena, the Red Guardian, and Taskmaster. The post-credit scene also sets up the premise for the Thunderbolts team. All around, the film did what it needed to do. In the Multiverse Saga, there has been a total of 13 films released. The criticism that these films have faced is not all warranted. Most of the films in this saga have been continuations of franchises that existed before. Shang-Chi, The Eternals, Deadpool and Wolverine, and the Thunderbolts were the only new franchises that have come out with this saga, with the Fantastic Four First Steps also on the way. Shang-Chi was a great film. The storyline, action scenes, and everything about this film made me want more after viewing. It is great to know that the character will be returning soon. The Eternals wasn't a bad film, as many people claim it to be. It introduced us to a new cosmic group, and I believe the story was not all bad. The one issue this film had that was overlooked was the connection to the characters. Think back and you will notice that you have developed a connection to at least some of the characters in the MCU. You want them to win. When they are knocked down, you want them to get back up. This is what this film was missing. With no sequel to this film on the way, it is safe to say that we will most likely not see this team for a long time, if ever again. Deadpool and Wolverine. Deadpool is not a new franchise, but it is new to the MCU. When this film was announced, nobody knew what to expect, and with Wolverine coming back, there was confusion. The anticipation for this film was great. We would be getting Deadpool and Wolverine in the MCU. The film did well in introducing these characters to the MCU. The action sequences were great, and the cameos in this film also did not miss. Seeing Chris Evans as a Human Torch all these years later was homage to the pre-MCU films, as well as having Jennifer Garner's Elektra, Wesley Snipes' Blade, Daphne Keene's X-23, and Channing Tatum's Gambit. Many will say that the cameo-filled films and nostalgia are bad for the MCU, but I do not agree. I do agree that not every film needs to have 20 plus cameos, but when it is done right and it makes sense is when it is beautiful. This film also introduced us to the concept of anchor beings, which essentially is the most important character in their respective universes, and when they eventually die, that universe starts to die along. I will dive into this in a future video, but as of now, we will move on. The films that have come out of the Multiverse Saga have not all been hits, but there have been some good ones in there. Spider-Man No Way Home brought back Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, as well as bringing back iconic Spider-Man villains from past iterations. Yes, nostalgia played a huge factor in this film, but it was done right. The moral of the story was also a deep message to everyone, and that was that everyone deserves a second chance, even when some may not see it that way. Peter losing Aunt May was key to the story because this is what fuels Peter to keep going, and what he is doing is for her. The brotherhood that all three Spider-Men develop with each other is also what makes this film great. By the end of the film, Spider-Man lost everything, setting up the future for Spider-Man to be alone and fighting crime in the daunting streets of New York in Spider-Man Brand New Day. Black Panther: Wakanda Forever is another film that does great in this saga. This film was a celebration of life and a tribute to the late Chadwick Boseman, but it also was more. Shuri taking on the moniker of the Black Panther was key to having the character live on. Many fans did want a recast, but in my opinion, Marvel handled it the right way. Seeing Namor for the first time in the MCU and seeing the underwater kingdom of Atlantis was beautiful. This film drives that narrative that Namor is a bad guy, but by the end, you understand where he is coming from, and that is that he only wants to protect his people. Angela Bassett. There are no words to describe her Oscar-worthy performance in this film. She was exceptional and is one of the main reasons that this film thrives. Her death in this film is a sad one, but it is one that will forever be remembered. This film also introduced Riri Williams, aka Ironheart, to the MCU. We will see her soon in her upcoming show. This film was also great and is what the MCU is all about. Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Where do I even start? This film was the perfect ending to the trilogy. We were finally introduced to Adam Warlock, and he will be vital in future films. This film was the last time with the Guardians of the Galaxy team that we all grew to love. From seeing the origins of Rocket Raccoon to seeing the pain and suffering he went through with the others that were with him, the story of Rocket and Lila and the bond that those two shared. When Rocket was dying, Peter not leaving his side, the bond that they share is unmatched. In all, the Guardians of the Galaxy trilogy was all about family, and this is when the MCU is at its best. The other films that have come out in this saga have not all been bad, and some of them have set up future films, most of which will be the upcoming Avengers films. There is one thing that built the foundation of the MCU that is missing, and that is the connectivity. The MCU is at its best when everything is connected and is building on what came before and setting up the next thing. This is what most of the films and TV shows missed on. As I stated, some of the shows and films have set up the future, and some have led to nowhere. The post-credit scene is a staple in the MCU. It is what is used to set up the next film or a threat down the line. Iron Man had the Avengers Initiative. The Avengers showed us Thanos for the first time. This is what the post-credit scene should be. In Thor: Love and Thunder, we got the post-credit scene with Hercules that will most likely never end up paying off unless there is another Thor film. There are many instances in this saga where the post-credit scenes have led to nowhere. Now, there have been some that were intended to lead to the future, such as the Quantumania post-credit scene. But with Kang no longer being in the fold, this post-credit scene is a waste unless they do finish the Kang storyline. All in all, the post-credit scene has lost its meaning and value. Marvel will have to regain what the post-credit scene once was. The Thunderbolts is what the MCU was missing. The Thunderbolts is a good step in the right direction. This film brought back the joy and excitement of wanting more that I haven't felt in a very long time with the MCU. This film feels a lot as the first Avengers film did. This film brought back the family aspect and delivers an important message, which is that you are not alone and that it is okay to seek help, which is a problem that many individuals struggle with. In this film, you care about the characters, you want to see them win, you want to see Bob overcome his struggles. This is what the MCU was missing. This film is a good building block for the MCU to get back to what it was. With the Multiverse Saga coming to an end in the next few years, it will be interesting to see how Marvel Studios handles the end of the saga. The post-credit scene for this film is also one that matters and sets up what is to come next. Seeing the Fantastic Four ship and hearing the score excited me, and I cannot wait until the film comes out in a few months. Knowing that this will lead to something is what it should be. Fans and critics have received this film well and love it, which is something that has not been shared in a long time. Overall, the MCU is headed in the right direction and getting its footing back. The only thing we can do as fans is to sit back and hope that the MCU we know and love can keep progressing positively forward. Follow us on X at FilmsHQ. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to drop a like and hit that subscribe button to help the channel grow. Turn on notifications to never miss an upload, and until next time, God bless. See you soon.